Hello and welcome to news broadcast on TayNinhTV with some latest event in Taynan province as well as in nationwide. And now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, on November 14, at the headquarters of the Taynan Provincial Party Committee Facility 2nd in Tân Ninh, the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding implementing the process to form and develop the Mộc Bài Xuyên Á complex took place.
The Memorandum of Understanding implementing the project to form and develop the Mộc Bài Xuyên Á complex was signed between the People's Committee of TayNinhTV Province and a leading investor consortium, including BKMS, CTCP Investment and Industrial Development Group, Vietnam Singapore Industrial Park Joint Venture Company Limited, and Vietnam Rubber Industry Group. Attending the signing ceremony, there were Secretary Provincial Party Committee Nguyễn Văn Quyết, Standing Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and Chairman Provincial People's Council Nguyễn Văn Hùng, Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and Chairman of Provincial People's Committee Nguyễn Văn Úc, along with the members of Provincial Party Committee Standing Committee, the leaders of provincial departments and branches, and leaders of investment units. Speaking at the signing ceremony, the Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and Chairman of Provincial People's Committee Nguyễn Văn Úc affirmed TayNinhTV is making efforts to improve the investment environment, complete infrastructure, and promote administrative reforms to attract businesses. And with a strategic location on the Trans-Asian Economic Axis, connecting Ho Chi Minh City with the capital of Phnom Penh, the Kingdom of Cambodia, TayNinhTV aims to become a modern industrial, urban, and service center of the Southeast region. According to the Memorandum of Understanding, TayNinhTV and Investor Consortium will cooperate to implement the Mộc Bài Trans-Asia Complex project according to the integrated industrial urban service model, aiming at sustainable, green, and smart development. The project consists of two phases, in which the 2025 to 2030 phase will develop about 1,500 hectares of industrial park in Thanh Đức Commune, build a section, urban areas, resettlement items, electricity, water, renewable energy infrastructure, and study the route connecting the Mộc Bài Xuyên Á industrial and urban corridor under the PPP method. The phase after 2030 will continue to expand the industrial park, develop urban areas, logistics, social housing, and complete projects according to the planning. For its part, the representative of the Investor Consortium committed to accompany the province in developing industrial urban service infrastructure, promoting the public-private cooperation, firming across regional production, logistics, trade value chain. Speaking at the ceremony, the Standing Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and Chairman of Provincial People's Council Nguyễn Văn Hùng emphasized this cooperation has strategic significance, expected to create a breakthrough in direct investment, making TayNinhTV a new role pole of the Southern Economic Region. At the same time, he requested departments and branches to urgently coordinate, ensuring that the commitments in the Memorandum of Understanding are implemented effectively and on schedule.
In the morning of November 14, the People's Council of TayNinhTV Province, the 10th term 2021-2026, held the fifth session, thematic session. Standing Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial People's Council Nguyễn Văn Hùng, and Vice Chairman of the Provincial Council co-chaired the session. Attending the session, there were Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial Peace Committee Nguyễn Văn Úc, leaders of the Provincial Vietnam Fatherland Rights Committee, leaders of provincial departments, branches, and localities in the province. At the session, representatives of provincial departments and branches presented a report submitted by the Provincial Peace Committee. The Provincial Peace Council's Legal Committee also presented a report and draft resolution on promulgating the working regulations of the Peace Council of TayNinhTV Province, the 10th term 2021-2026. Based on reviewing the regulations and practical requirements, the Provincial Peace Council delegates unanimously voted to pass 7 important resolutions on the fields of finance, environment, and legal resolutions. In particular, the resolution on the working regulations of the Provincial Peace Council is a new content implemented according to the model regulations of the National Assembly Standing Committee. Concluding the meeting, the Standing Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial Peace Council Nguyễn Văn Hùng, requested the Provincial Peace Committee and all levels and sectors to urgently implement the resolutions, ensuring progress and bringing the highest efficiency. regarding the resolution on promulgating the working regulations of the People's Council of TayNinhTV Province, the 10th term 2021-2026, the Standing Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial Vice Council Nguyễn Minh Hùng, requested relevant functional agencies to uphold the sense of responsibility, coordinate closely and effectively with the Standing Committee of the Provincial Vice Council and the agencies of the Provincial Vice Council in effectively implementing the working regulations of the Provincial Vice Council that have been approved, contributing to improving the quality of the activities of the Provincial People's Council.
The Provincial People's Committee had just issued a decision on the application and abolition of legal decision in the field of science and technologies in TayNinhTV Province, with 15 decisions continues to be applied until decision begins abolished.
This review application and abolition is carried out in accordance with the provisions of the law on promulgation of legal documents in 2005 and guiding the decrees to ensure the consistency of legal system after the province completes the merger of administrative boundaries. Specifically, the 12 abolished documents are mainly regulations that have expired or are no longer suitable, such as the Science Technology Development Plan until 2020, Regulation on Innovation Activities, and decision related to the organization and functions of the Department of Science and Technology of the two provinces before the merger. In contrast, the documents that continue to be applied include decisions on data management and use, management of specialized data transmission networks, economic and technical standards in the fields of information technology, science technology, and many policies to support the creative startups and develop an innovative ecosystem. The decision takes effect from November 10 of 2025, and the Provincial People's Committee assigned the Department of Science and Technology to coordinate with the departments, branches, and localities to implement, ensuring the application of legal documents in the fields of science and technology is unified and transparent throughout the province.
In the morning of November 14, member of the Provincial Party Standing Committee, Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee Nguyễn Minh Lâm chaired a working session with the working delegation of the Korea Environment Corporation, or KECO, led by Vice Chairman of the corporation Cha Wang Myung, on the implementation of the project, piloting the classification of hazardous waste actors and promoting resource circulation in TayNinhTV Province. The project, piloting the classification of hazardous waste actors and promoting resource circulation in TayNinhTV Province, is sponsored by the Korea International Cooperation Agency, or KOICA, and KECO Corporation, its consulting unit, with a total investment capital of more than $10.8 million and more than 56 billion Vietnam dong of counterpart capital from the province. The project consists of three main components: propaganda, raising public awareness of waste classification actions, construction of infrastructure, equipment, and to modern waste treatment plants in Hiệp Hòa commune, site clearance, and investment in technical infrastructure to serve the project. At the working session, member of the Provincial Party Standing Committee, Vice Chairman of the Provincial Vice Committee Nguyễn Minh Lâm said that the province has directed relevant agencies to complete on required documents and procedures, and at the same time assign specific departments and branches to participate in the implementation, especially the site clearance work. The province ensures resources and is ready for the first steps of the project, as well as wishes to speed up progress in the coming time. For his part, Vice Chairman of the Korea Environment Corporation, Cha Wang Myung, expressed his hope to receive support from the Provincial Peace Committee so that the project can be approved soon. At the same time, he said that the company is preparing to open a representative office in Ho Chi Minh City, creating favorable conditions to promote cooperation between KECO and TayNinhTV Province in many environmental projects in the future.
The TayNinhTV Province currently has more than 32,000 operating enterprises. This number shows that the abilities of enterprises to contribute to the economy is very large. However, besides that, fire prevention and fighting for a large number of enterprises located in industrial zones and clusters is also a challenging issue.
with the factory scale of more than 181,000 square meters and about 1,000 fabric workers, Yutang Limited Liability Company in Tengdo Industrial Park, the Khoi Communal, will seriously implement the fire prevention and fighting solutions. The factory also established a fire prevention and fighting team of about 50 people and also equipped with an automatic firefighting system. In particular, we invested in this warehouse system with an automatic system and partitions because this is one of the warehouses that contains very large flammable materials. In addition to proactive prevention and raising awareness of workers, the company also regularly organizes and participates in large-scale fire prevention and fighting and rescue drills, and it is a very good way to help local forces practice skills and promptly handle situations that may arise unexpectedly. Many people and the workers have told me that thanks to this drill, we clearly understand what we need to do and how to think, especially the prevention work to avoid it happening and to bring the right benefits to the work of fire prevention and fighting. The recent drills mobilized more than 300 officers, soldiers of the police, army, medical staff, military, and the company's on-site fire prevention and fighting force. And the hypothetical situation was built in a complex way, to test the command and control capacity and the ability to connect between forces in the most realistic conditions. For the grassroots level, they will raise the awareness for the leaders as well as the company's officials and employees in fire prevention and fighting work, fire and rescue at the facility. And second, through the exercise and drilling, will improve the capacity and fighting power of professional fire prevention and fighting forces. And from a large-scale drill, it can be seen that the fire prevention and fighting is not only the task of the functional forces, but also the responsibility and self-protection awareness of each enterprise and employee. Proactive prevention and response are safety, for the training Senator Johnson cluster to develop sustainably.
On November 13, the National Assembly voted to pass the resolution on the state budget estimate for 2026. And it cuts the draft law on e-commerce amended.
The deputy head of National Assembly delegation of TayNinhTV Province, Hoàng Thị Thanh Thúy, pointed out the current situation. Live streamers, especially famous people, sell products via live stream with a large revenue but advertise falsely, sell the fake or poor quality products or avoid responsibility when consumers report. And delegates proposed to add a control mechanism before broadcasting live stream sections, advertising special products, how functional foods, cosmetic, etc., and clarifying the joint responsibility of live streamers if the information is incorrect compared to the product profile. At the same time, extend the minimum of storage period for live stream data to 2 years, stably providing recordings and comments and evidence of closing orders to consumers or authorities when needed.
The Provincial Business Committee had just issued a plan to organize the activities in TayNinh in the last months of 2025 and 2026, aiming to promote domestic consumption, promote high-quality Vietnamese goods, and support businesses, cooperatives, and business households to expand their markets. In the last months of 2025, the province will organize 3 key activities, including year-round shopping fair, trade tourism service fair, and Vietnamese goods markets, combined with trade connection programs in many localities, bringing Vietnamese goods to rural areas and border areas. In 2026, the province plans to deploy 10 typical trade promotion events, including Vietnamese goods fair, outcrop, border industry, agriculture, consumption stimulus goods week, year-round shopping week, and Vietnamese goods markets in rural areas, industrial zones cluster. The chain of commercial activities is expected not only to expand the market, promote consumption of goods, promote TayNinh's typical products, but also create a vibrant business environment, contributing to completing the economic growth target for the period of 2025-2026.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cần Thơ City is actually supporting business households to convert to a lump sum tax model in order to ensure transparency and fairness in tax management.
The conversion is expected to help the business household proactively declare, apply electronic invoices, and improve the financial management efficiency, while reducing the advantage for older households or those who have not yet proficient in technology. And trading is plastic products in Cái Răng Road of Cần Thơ City with a revenue of about 300 million Vietnam dong per year. According to new regulations, Mr. Đỗ Hoàng Tang's business household belongs to the group with revenue of over 200 million Vietnam dong and another 3 billion Vietnam dong per year. According to instruction from tax officials, Mr. Tang understands what needs to be done to convert to a lump sum tax model, preparing to apply new tax calculation method in early of 2026. Although initially confused, Mr. Tang is afraid to convert because the new method is clear and transparent to everyone. At first, it was a bit difficult to convert, but gradually it will be applied in the right form. Cần Thơ City currently has over 65,400 business households, of which more than 57,200 households pay taxes by lump sum method, and to date, 5,363 business households have implemented the electronic invoices generated from the cash register. 1,647 households have completed the conversion to the lump sum tax elimination model. According to the records, business households agree with the conversion, but also recommend considering the rising taxable revenue level. I have a recommendation to raise the level a little more. With the current level, my income is not enough to pay taxes. And for example, with 200 million Vietnam dong per year, 1 month is about 15 to 16 million Vietnam dong, while 1 to 2 people in the family work and still have to invest money. Cần Thơ City Tax Department is focusing on supporting the business household to convert to a tax-free model, implementing policy effective from January the 1st of 2026, providing guidance on the use of electronic invoices and the e-tax mobile application, and resolving problems. However, the implementation process still faces some difficulties. Firstly, small traditional business households, most of whom are elderly, are very hesitant to use invoices and documents. Second, accounting books, everyone is worried about whether they are following the regulations, afraid that there will be errors in the tax declaration process, leading to additional collection and fines. And facing with the implementation difficulties, Cần Thơ City Tax Department proposed to improve the tax management guidelines, accounting for the policies and update the electronic invoice application, helping households, especially the elderly or those who have not yet proficient in technology, to easily convert. Identifying high-tech agriculture is one of the strategic priority areas. TayNinhTV Province is focusing resources to create a breakthrough for this pillar economic sector. In just the first 9 months of 2025, the GDP of the agriculture, forestry, and fishery sector of the province recorded an impressive growth rate over 4.3%, significantly higher than the national average. Currently, TayNinhTV is urgently developing 22 high-tech agricultural zones. The province's goal is that by 2025, high-tech products will account for 40% of the total value of agricultural production, and this figure will be increased to 50% by 2030. And to implement this strategy, TayNinhTV is maximizing its content advantages in up to 85% of its natural area for agriculture, ideal flat terrain, and especially abundant irrigation water from the Dầu Tiếng Lake system. TayNinhTV's vision is to form a modern, sustainable agricultural value chain based on the close connection of the 5 houses, including the state, the banks, businesses, centers, and farmers, contributing to affirming the position of TayNinhTV agriculture in a new development stage. And moving on to other news, ladies and gentlemen, on November 13, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs organized a workshop on promoting Vietnam's agriculture, forestry, and fishery export to the EU market to discuss solutions to expand and sustainably develop the export to this potential market. After more than 5 years since Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement (EVFTA) took effect, the export turnover of the agricultural, forestry, and fishery products to the EU has nearly doubled, reaching for $7.42 billion in 2025. However, Vietnam's market share in the EU remains modest, accounting for only about 3% of the total imports of the whole bloc. The Deputy Minister Lê Thị Thu Hằng requested localities, industry associations, and businesses to strengthen coordination legislation to meet the EU's technical environment for safety, labor, and traceability standards, and sometimes strongly safeguarding from exporting raw materials to exporting processed products with a high value, sustainable development. The workshop is also an opportunity for management associations and businesses to share their advantages, find solutions to remove obstacles, effectively utilize the EVFTA, and improve the competitiveness of Vietnamese agriculture, forestry, and fishery products in the EU market, a large, stable, and potential market.
In Hue City, the present prolonged flooding has caused a landslide on the banks of the Hương River, and many coastlines have been deeply eroded, continuing to erode, affecting people's lives.
This landslide, which is 50 meters long, has cut up the provincial road number 25 along the Hương River, passing through the Sinh ward of Hue City. Not only does it affect the movement of vehicles, the landslide also makes the people worried. Only 1 meter left to reach the home. I asked the government to do it quickly so that the people can move around and go back and forth safely. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous. And it is the landslide point in Cư Chánh number 2 residential road, Thủy Sinh ward. The serious landslide is more than 20 meters deep. In particular, large areas of land along the river are still continuously subsiding, forming the deep cracks about 30 meters long inside the garden, and it makes the people have always worried, fearing that the landslide will continue to affect their lives and their properties also. After the flood, the water receded, and there are currently 5 households in the residential road that have suffered landslide at the present time, and such landslide can be seen from the outside point to the current landslide point about 20 meters and the cracks about 30 meters further. I hope that the leaders at all levels will pay attention to help the people to find a solution for them, so that the people can focus on production as well as the people can access the Hương River more safely. According to statistics, the recent flood caused landslide on the banks of the Hương River, Bồ River, or Ô Lau River, and other rivers with a total length of more than 10 kilometers, more than 30 kilometers of canals, 30 temporary dams and inland dikes were also washed away. Thousands of pumping sections were also flooded and damaged by landslides. In addition, the coastlines in Thuận An Ward and Vĩnh Lập Commune were also deeply eroded and continue to erode, affecting the substantial infrastructure works and business activities and the people's lives.
That's all for today, TTV News. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye for now.